First Watch with Sheriff Mark Daniels on KWCD Bisbee Sierra Vista, hosted by Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
And welcome to your Friday. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Sheriff Mark Daniels and Carol Kappas. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
Well, we weren't here last week because of technical difficulties with the radio station, but we're back.
Yeah, it's nice to be back, but we had that winter was here for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
It was here, and which is okay with me. But every time it gets really, really cold, you guys have an issue, right, Grady? Is that what happens?
Yeah, there was ice on the tower, and then there was transmitter problems. The engineer came down, so it was like a snowball of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
So if it's really, really cold out there and we're not in the air, you probably know why now.
That's right. Well, and also we can kind of say Happy New Year again because we kind of started and then we were gone and we're back. So Happy New Year again. But we want to thank SSVEC for sponsoring this for a whole nother year.
Yeah, thank you to all the men and women of SSVEC for all they do. Jason, the CEO over there, who's doing a fabulous job and just really becoming a household name and sharing their mission around the community. But thanks to all of them for what they do, but also what they do for the community. There's not much that you see goes on in Cochise County that you don't see an SSVEC logo of support next to it. So thank you guys for all that.
And man, it's already been a 2025, haven't it? There's been just so much going on. But let's start that you were actually in the Phoenix, capital of Arizona, on Monday for the governor's opening session.
We did. I got invited along with some other sheriffs by the Speaker of the House, Montenegro, I always say his name right, reference to come up there and join him on the floor for opening session. It was really nice, and spent some time with him before, and he's just really laid back, balanced guy, a good speaker to have for the state of Arizona, the citizens. You can tell he's in the right place there. And then the Senate President Warren Peterson came over, and I was impressed with both of them. They said this on the floor, and is the fact that their priority for the state of Arizona is public safety. Whatever else you do in the state, if you're not supporting public safety, in their words, you're wrong. And the fact that we have to support our public safety, they know the challenges that we're all facing, Arizona all the way through, but public safety will be a priority for this session. And then I stayed for the State of the State by Governor Hobbs, and she mentioned public safety and priority for the border and securing it. So it's a collective effort there. I was very impressed by all three speakers. And then I met the governor afterwards for a few minutes. And so it's nice to see a state that at least shares a collective message of public safety. We have to have that. Whether you're a mayor, elected officials, if you're not supporting public safety, you're missing something. That's a priority, especially in rural counties where what do you see? Well, the biggest two concerns in rural counties I hear, and I've seen a poll they did years ago here, highways and public safety. They want good roads and they want good law enforcement and public safety. So it was refreshing to hear that from our state leadership.
And you continue along that path as you're going to go back up again today and meet with the governor, with some sheriffs, and talk about things that are going on in Cochise County and how we're going to strike our path forward. Yeah,
today I'm meeting with the governor along with a handful of sheriffs, and we're talking about where we're going into session, building upon what was said the other day. We've already set our priorities, and let me go through them if I could real quick. One is local border support. We're trying to up that money due to the fact that the demand, whether it's fentanyl, whether it's trafficking, whether it's just the smuggling that we're dealing with, the high-speed pursuits, the new law, Prop 314, that with the expectations that come with that and what resources sheriffs need. So we're talking about that. We have to enhance that fund. And I'm being told that the governor's supporting that. I know the state and legislative folks are too. The other thing we're trying to do is define a retirement benefit for our detention and correctional officers in the state. Right now, they don't have it. It's amazing to me these public safety professionals don't have that. So that was a thing we tried to fight a couple of years ago. We didn't get any traction. We're bringing that. It's the corp adjustments, if you hear anything about it. That is, these people that work in our jails, that work in our prisons, that when they retire, they need to be taken care of. And so we're pushing that really hard again. I think we're getting traction now. I will say this. When we were on the floor during introductions, in the House, we got a standing ovation, the sheriffs did. So this tells you the respect and support that sheriffs have throughout this state. The other one is the pay parity. Now this is something we've talked about before, is one of the hardest things in law enforcement, number one, is to recruit, and number two is to retain your talent, whether it's in the jail, whether it's on the road. And the governor made a comment in her State of the State that she wants to give DPS, Department of Public Safety, a 5% raise. 5%. Now, I was told they're asking for like 23, 24%. That's what they're pushing for. Wow, that's a lot. And so to give you perspective, DPS makes about $8,000 more than a starting deputy in Cochise County, and most officers that work in our communities. And they're going to get a 5%. That'll bring them up to they start off at $65,000 right now. Within 8 years, they're making up in the $90,000 range as a trooper. And I'm not criticizing that, but what I say is if we're going to take care of our homegrown, our deputies and officers that are deconflicted 24/7 in our communities, that we need to take care of them too. So that's where the pay parity comes from. So we're asking for some help there. Governor Ducey was very good about making sure we did that. And so we'll see where this all goes on pay parity, but we got to pay our talent, our homegrowns, right, or they leave. I lost a deputy here 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. He was 8 years, I think 7 years on. He got like a $20,000, $30,000 raise to go to DPS. So you can imagine the frustrations. We do really well on retention, but the more they make, the more it causes grief, not just for the sheriff's office, but your police departments too here, and especially in rural communities. And then the other one's the reentry funding for our detention facilities to help those with programs when they go to jail, when they get back out, to make them successful. That's a huge program. Started out in Yavapai County. They've done an amazing job on that. So we're all pushing for that also to help our rural jails, that we can help those that come in our jail, that they got a path forward when they come out. So a lot going on. Stay tuned to that. If you need any questions from me, call the sheriff's office. We'll tell you what's going on. We'll show you our details. But advocating for our men and women to go out and protect us every day.
And we continue to talk about the border. That's a hot issue around the country. But you had an international border meeting last Thursday. Tell us how that went.
We did. And Jesus Davison, he's my sergeant out of the Douglas area, actually set this up. Kudos to him. But it was an international meeting between the leadership of the state of Sonora out of Mexico. In fact, they had a 4-star general there from Mexico. They had the senior leadership from law enforcement there, police chiefs there. I mean, you name it. We met in Douglas at the Gadsden. We met down there and had lunch with them. But we talked. It was a meet and greet, number one. But number two, it was discuss operations. What are we doing? What can they help us with? How can we share intel? How can we talk better because the threats they're facing is what we're facing over here. Different cultures, I get it. But at the end of the day, we need to share those thoughts and make sure that we're working together. And so it was a very proactive meeting. And I'll say this, and we've had international meetings, but this was probably one of the better ones I've attended. It was very welcoming on both sides, and just learning from our counterparts and some of the stories they told and some of the stories we're telling. I mean, we're sharing similar problems. So again, I see those meetings continue, but it was an international meeting on both sides that turned out to be very, very effective. So thank you, Sergeant Davison, for setting that up.
And also reaching out and trying to get more involved and sharing messages from inside the sheriff's office and challenges and successes that we're facing with others. You also spoke to the Hispanic Chamber on Friday night. Yeah, I had the opportunity to do it once a year, the Southern Arizona Hispanic Chamber. I think they're housed between Tucson all the way down to the border here, and well-attended event. Dan Valle that puts that together. Thank you, Dan. And but it was a well-attended event. We discussed a lot of things, operational issues. We talked about the border. Everybody can put a spin on it, but here's what we're doing. Here's the reality of what we do. We talked about that, and then we talked about our jail. We talked about the district and all the good things we're doing there, and some of the challenges we're going to face. And hopefully we'll talk more about that here in the show in the future. But the bottom line at the end of the day is very proactive, because we're sharing. Public safety and economic drivers share a lot in common. I mean, when I'm talking to Melanie here from Sierra Vista or Dan that's representing the Hispanic side, either way, we're all sharing the same people, the same communities, and so I was honored to be able to speak to them again.
And continuing our community outreach, you spoke with the Rotary Club as well.
Yeah, I spoke to the Rotary last week. And it's nice when you're dealing with influential people, community members, citizens at these meetings, because they all bring something to the table. And at the end of the day, I work for them all. I truly work for them all as an elected official. So well attended to. Again, we spoke about a lot of ongoing challenges, a lot of successes, but more than that, whether I'm talking to the chamber, talking to civic groups, citizens getting a soda, the return investment to the sheriff's office by the public has just been outstanding. And I just can't, whether you're listening to this radio, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for all you're doing, and the men and women that are going out there and just, they're our neighbors. I'm your neighbor. And when we can share each other and show the respect, that's the key. That's where law enforcement fails. They don't earn that respect. And respect is not given by a uniform or a badge. It's given by earning it through the action. So thank you, everybody.
And you also had the opportunity to attend the Benson City Council meeting and swear in a new council member.
Yeah, I did a ceremonious swear-in a couple weeks ago, and then I did a follow-up member, just got appointed. And it's exciting when you can go into a community and you can bring them all together with this oath of office. It was just really nice to do. I did Tombstone here about a month and a half ago, I think it was, something like that, and the mayor and council. But it is, because we're all, again, it goes back to the same thing I just said. We're all here together, and when community leaders work together, it's amazing what we can do. When those that don't want to work together, it makes it very difficult. But at the end of the day, it's whether it's public safety, economic, they go hand in hand.
And you also attended a General McPhail's holiday event.
Yes, I just did that last Saturday, and the General and McPhail and also General Appenhans both were there, and all the leadership from Fort Huachuca, and we went up there and just spent about an hour and a half of just breaking in the new year, talking and sharing thoughts and where we're going, some of the things we want to do. I know they got a big birthday party coming up for the Army, and so we talked about that. So it's exciting that, because Fort Huachuca is our economic driver in Cochise County. It does so much for this county, and call it the floaties for Cochise County, because it floats for us. It keeps a lot of us afloat. And so having that military base here, providing jobs, providing reputation, it brings people here from all over the world. I think it's pretty impressive. So I've always been a big partner and big believer in our military, and having them here is great. So thank you, Generals, for the invite.
And circling back around to things that are happening in Cochise County and through the southwest border, some of the border issues, let's just talk really quickly about some statistics that you have that we can share with the public on border.
Well, let me say this. Let me start off with 2024. So we booked 1,286 people in jail. And I say we. That's your local law enforcement, your sheriff's deputies, and your troopers. 1,286 people were booked for border crimes. Now, that's down just a little bit from last year, no doubt about it. And the smuggling, those that come down here and drive for profit, the smuggler drivers, and which are majority of U.S. citizens, we booked 256, 150 pursuits that we got our hands on. It cost us $4.1 million. But here's what I think is a real tell-all, is the fact that what have we done over the last 3 years? So the total cost in the last 3 years with a little bit of 2021 in there. We started keeping stats in 2022. $14.4 million plus in incarceration costs for border crimes. Thanks to the state of Arizona for paying that. We truly, truly appreciate it. We'd be in trouble if not. Total border crimes that were booked in the jail since 2022, 4,170. That's a lot of good effort by those who wear a badge. And these are not immigration. These are not people that came across the border and all they had was immigration. These are people that committed state crimes all the way up to murder. The new law that went into effect September 28th of 2022, which is the smuggle for profit law, exploiting people, however you want to look at it, 822 people were booked. That is a lot of work by our teams, our interdiction team, and the many law enforcement that are engaged in this. And then you look at the pursuits. We all know pursuits have become very prevalent here in Cochise County. We booked 564 pursuit drivers in the jail. That's the magnitude of what we've seen. When people say, oh, we don't have a border crisis, we're only a sliver of the pie when you look at the overall network of border communities. I mean, you look at 31 border counties on the southwest border, you got your northern counties, you got your coastal counties on east and west. So again, it goes back to the fact that we're doing our part. We are truly doing our part here to keep you safe and support the rule of law with consequences.
Well, let's talk about pursuits.
Well, they're picking. I mean, it's tradition that during the Christmas that we have a low in smuggling and trafficking, pursuits, crime. It's historically, we go back and look, and that's just how that irons out. But this week it's kicked back up. I mean, we had 4 the other day. I saw it coming home from Phoenix the other day, and I saw the troopers. I saw the deputies out there, interdiction guys. I mean, they have been busy with stolen vehicles, smuggling, you name it. And that's so sad because, well, as we kick up the new year, we hope that they would quit. But I think it would be unrealistic not to believe that they're going to. So be careful out there. Be vigilant. My safety message on that part of it is we're getting a lot of pursuits again. I mean, the last 3 days especially has just been a big challenge for us. And thanks to law enforcement, we've learned so much over the last 3 years when it comes to how do we interdict and bring them home safely. I'm talking about the people that are in the car that are in danger, but also the drivers that we're putting in custody. So good job to law enforcement out there.
And our law enforcement groups that are handling, specifically focusing on human smuggling and criminal interdiction, they have a funding that comes from the state to get that done. And we were just notified that we received $1.9 million from the governor's office to continue that funding.
Yeah, and that's holistic to the point it pays for everything. I mean, our vehicles were paid for by the state. Second of all, this pays for the personnel costs for our interdiction teams. These guys out there that are truly focused on doing this, and our specialty people, our street crimes. These are the guys, the men and women that go out there to address these people, to come in our county, to run these pursuits, to endanger our lives. They are the deterrents. They do an amazing job, like I just described. You saw some of the numbers. But that $1.9 million covers those costs. It costs Cochise County nothing to have this team out there. I'm very proud of it. We just got the award letter yesterday for $1.9 million plus. We got cut a little bit. But again, $1.9 million is a lot of money, and we will be able to do it without a problem. We lost some of our overtime funding, but again, coffers are tight, and we're sharing this. This is not just Cochise County's problems. And law enforcement around the state that says, hey, we want to do our part, I'll commend it all day. So again, it goes back to thank you to Jeff Glover, who's the DPS colonel I work with on these money, the state legislative folks, but also the governor's office that approved all these funding. So again, we're on the right track.
And some sad times right now. We just were notified recently of some deaths of people who were famous, if you will, in the law enforcement community and who were also part of the sheriff's office.
They were. Number one, it's Gary Steffen. Anna was one of the first managers at the mall. If you remember, that's his wife. Gary retired as a lieutenant from us. Gary's got a long history of law enforcement, not just in Cochise County before, but he ended up retiring out of our office. And let me just say, Gary was iconic. You know, worked up to lieutenant. I worked for him as a sergeant, and then when he retired, I actually took his spot. Got promoted, and but Gary moved back to the Midwest with his family and was enjoying life, but got ill and passed away 2 days before Christmas. So, again, my heart goes out to. My prayers go out for Gary and his family, and I know the services are coming up here at the end of this month. And then the other one was Bill Burns. Bill Burns was service to police officer. I believe worked into the detective role on the outreach side of it. Started in 1977. I think he retired in 99. And then he was very famous in the fact that he worked within the schools under the GREAT program for gang resistance. That's when the gangs were very prevalent in the 90s here in early 2000. And then he worked, I think, DARE, and just a great guy. I mean, just a great guy. He passed last weekend. So to Bill and Gary and to both their families, I mean, God bless you both, man. I mean, these are iconic members of our local law enforcement, so keep them in your prayers too.
And your community message today, we want to kick off the year by giving back. What are some ways we can give back this year?
You know, we've gone through some hard times in Cochise County. I mean, no matter where your optics are, where your opinions are, where your politics are, irrelevant. This is our community. We all have to put something forward, and it takes the first. You got to click it in the mind first. You got to put the mind forward, and then you got to put the action behind that. I'm asking everybody, let's see if we can do some good deeds here. Let's all come together. Let's all embrace, and I mean this. Let's find that common ground. Let's find that common ground that we can work together. And if you can't, if you're serving, I've always said this, Grady, if you're going to serve your ideology over the majority of the people, you're going to fail. You know, there's a lot of things, the laws, I don't agree with all the laws. I don't agree with all this, but I take an oath to support the laws. Not something that I believe in or something like that. Not that beliefs aren't important and core values, but I'm talking about we have to enforce the laws. If not, change them. Let's do that. But when it comes to public safety, my message is we're going to continue to do what we do for the people in this county, continue to help them, help fix their problems in need, and continue to spend the time and be transparent what's going on, that we can continue to earn that trust and respect that's so important. But I would challenge my citizens, I challenge all my law enforcement out there to do the same thing. Let's see what we can do to make this a better place for all of us.
Well, Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you, Grady. Thank you, Carol, for both you guys do. And thanks to the public for all that support.
And we want to thank Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative for again sponsoring this show for 2025. First Watch is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Giving you an inside look to your sheriff's office. Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and thank you so much, Michelle Perez. She's the Public Information Officer for the Coronado National Forest.
Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Grady. How are you guys?
So let's find out what's going on in Coronado right now.
So we've got a planned prescribed burn coming up, hopefully next week, depending on weather and conditions, of course. We're going to be cleaning up a little bit more in Ash Canyon. We've got approximately 500 piles that we started on last year, about 50 acres. You guys might remember seeing the smoke in the Ash Canyon area last year. This is just a continuation of that burn, so in support of the Huachuca Firescape that we've got going on.
You know, with everything going on in California, with the fires that are happening in Cochise County and Bisbee specifically, people are going to see smoke. And from 50 acres, 500 piles, right? Correct. It's going to be a lot of smoke, correct?
We're going to try to minimize that as much as we can, so we do our very, very best to do that. That's going to be based on the conditions and the lighting procedures that they use, things like that. So we're going to minimize it as much as we can, but there will be smoke visible in the county that we're not going to be able to.
And then an obvious question, but let's put it out to the listeners, is why are these burns so important?
So we're going to minimize what you're seeing in California, hopefully. That's the goal, the Firescape program. We want to make it as safe as we can and continue to keep that out there. If you're out there in that area, you might see the brush, and then you'll realize exactly what we're trying to accomplish with this. So.
And one thing that that happens when we have a prescribed burn is we try to get the word out, but still people still call CCOM, for example, and they'll say, "What's the fire?" So we just want to, if you pass the word, everybody, just if you see it on Facebook, go ahead and share it because we want to get that word out.
Right, and if you follow the Coronado National Forest Facebook page, you'll find all of that information. If you see smoke out there, look on our page. If we're having a burn, we'll put it on that page.
That is excellent. So remind us how to get to that Facebook page.
So it's going to be Facebook for Coronado National Forest. It'll come up when you just Google that. It's a pretty quick link to that page.
That's awesome.
It is. So you guys do a lot of, excuse me, these kinds of things, and it's time to make sure you get all the brush and everything out. So thank you so much for being here and telling us this and letting us inform the public.
And what are the dates of this prescribed burn?
We don't have a hard date, but we're shooting for Wednesday of next week. So we're looking to burn Wednesday and Thursday with a little bit of monitoring on Friday. That's all conditions, if all conditions are appropriate and weather's all good and everything's cooperative. So.
All right. And then, of course, monitor those Facebook pages to find out, and then let everybody know that Wednesday, because it overloads our CCOM for sure, just because there's smoke in the area and people panic.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate when you share it on the sheriff's page and everything, Carol. That helps a lot.
All right. So, Carol, who do we have coming in next?
So next we're going to have, give me a moment, John Mars from the Tombstone Film Festival. Sorry.
First Watch on KWCD Country. It's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and welcome John Mars from the Tombstone Film Festival.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what you've got going on.
So the Tombstone Film Festival, it's our third annual event. It goes January 23rd through the 26th. And it's a competition-style festival where we have a bunch of independent films entered. And we screen them all weekend long, and then we have an award ceremony on Sunday night. It kicks off on January 23rd with a world premiere of a film called Killin' Jim Kelly, which was a feature film that I directed. We shot out in Texas, and it's based on a true story of a guy named Jim Kelly, who was a black cowboy out in Texas, who was also an assassin for a cattle bearer named Print Olive, and his nickname was Killin' Jim Kelly. So we'll be showing that on Thursday night, followed by a whiskey and cigar tasting at the Oriental Saloon. And then Friday night, we'll be showing the 100th anniversary of the Buster Keaton film Go West. And then Saturday and Sunday will be the screenings of all the films that are entered into the festival.
That is like a very good time. So if you're looking for something fun to do, even the whiskey and cigar part of it, I'm sure that that's the toughest part. But just if you want to see some great films, I think that that's a way to do it. And Tombstone being 18 miles away from Sierra Vista, pretty centrally located, that's a fun time.
And if you're a Cochise County resident, you get a discount on your pass as well.
How do we get passes?
So you go to the website filmfreeway.com and go to the Tombstone Film Festival section of that website, and all the tickets are available for purchase on there. To get into the whiskey and cigar tasting, you'll need to purchase the Sheriff's Badge, which is $70. It gets you into the Killin' Jim Kelly world premiere, the whiskey tasting, and everything throughout the weekend. Below that, you can buy the Marshall's Badge, which gets you into all of the rest of the events other than the whiskey and cigar tasting and the Killin' Jim Kelly premiere. And if you're a Cochise County resident, it's only $30 to get in for the whole weekend.
Cool. We're going to get that web address in just a minute, but I want to find out, how do people get, how can they submit? Is this something that's like a national thing? I mean, I know it's too late for this year, but maybe somebody's thinking next year. How does that work?
Yeah, so if you're a filmmaker, you open up an account on filmfreeway.com. That's how we take all of our submissions. Travis Mills and I started this. This is our third year. And you submit your films through filmfreeway.com, and then we go through them and we select the ones we want to show. We had 43 submissions this year. We're showing 13 of those films.
Excellent. Okay, so next week is going to be this film festival. Tell us once again, how do we get tickets?
Go to filmfreeway.com, and for more information, you can go to the 12 Westerns and More Facebook page. We post a lot of the information there, or the Tombstone Film Festival Facebook page.
All right. Well, John Mars, we thank you for coming and talking to us today, and thanks for what you're going to do in Tombstone next week. It sounds like a real good time.
Thanks for having us on. I hope everybody shows up for it. It's a good weekend.
All right. And Carol, who do we have coming in next?
We have Janet Morlock from the Sierra Vista Lions Club.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Giving you an inside look to your sheriff's office. Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas. And we've got our next guest. It's Janet. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Grady?
Good. You got to get real close to that microphone.
Oh,
there we go.
better.
So you are here to talk about a Project Linus. What is that?
Well, this is kind of interesting. I'm with the Sierra Vista Lions Club, and we were looking for something to serve the community that was just a little different. We're putting out glasses, and we're doing, a lot of other services in the community with the schools and those kind of things. But we were looking something that we could do where we could get do good, but get direct community involvement and get people out just to do something that Sierra Vista does really well. We take care of people.
Yeah, we do.
And so one of our members, Lion Lori Gans, she found out about Project Linus. Project Linus is pretty cool. It's in 50 states. It started out in 1995 when somebody read a magazine article about a little girl with cancer. She was 3 years old. She was battling leukemia, and her mom said the thing that keeps her going to treatment after treatment after treatment for the last 2 years was this fuzzy blanket. And so a lady sitting in Denver drinking her morning coffee and reading this magazine went, wow, I can do that. And she went over to a hospital in Denver that dealt with cancer patients, primarily children, and started making them blankets. So Project Linus was born, and now 10 million blankets later, we're in all 50 states, and we brought that down to Sierra Vista by partnering with the chapter in Tucson, and we are trying to do an event every couple months, and we got one coming up Saturday.
And that's going to be at the Salvation Army, so tell us about the event.
So the event is pretty cool. We're going to make blankets, and we've made as many as 50 blankets in a single setting. But the beauty of these is you don't need a sewing machine. If you can tie a knot, you can make a couple of blankets in the few hours that we're there. If you can crochet, you can stop by with your bag of yarn, or you can stop by with your hook and I'll hand you a bag of yarn and you can start crocheting. But mostly it's about the no-sew fleece. I don't know if you're familiar with that fuzzy, fleecy, kind of like heavy flannel material. We cut a fringe on the edges, you tie it in knots, and that kid has a warm blanket. But the beauty of our blankets through the Project Linus Club we do is they're all homemade. We don't want a bag of blankets dropped off from Walmart. They're homemade because you're going through the worst time in your life. A kid that's going through chemo. Maybe a kid that's been taken out of the home with nothing but their clothes on their back and thrust into the foster system. Maybe a kid that's just having the worst day of their life that, you know, who knows better than the sheriff's department what that sometimes looks like for a kid. Sheriff's office carries Project Linus blankets, and those blankets can be given to kids and they get that warm, personalized hug. So what we want the community to do is come out, hang out with us. The first time we came on your show, we ended up with about 20 people showing up last spring. Last time we had 40 people aging 6 to 83, and we made 60 blankets. We had Afghans dropped off for another 10 or 15 Afghans, the crocheted ones, the yarn blankets. And we also have something fun that this is great for people who want to bring their kids and introduce them to community service. We have quilt squares, little square pieces of fabric, and they're printed like a coloring book image. And we let the kids color them any way they want to, and the adults. So if you want to come by and color, Grady, I will hook you up with markers.
That sounds fun.
And so those go with our quilters, and they go home with them, and they get sewn into quilts. So ultimately, through Project Linus, there are these fleece blankets. There are handmade quilts that are sometimes amazingly beautiful. I'll have to send you some pictures. And the crochet blankets, and they go babies to 18. On the worst, so they're having a bad day, they have that blanket to take with them to every chemo. If they're in the foster system, that blanket gets wadded up and stuffed in their backpack and goes to every new house. And they know it's made just for them. So I think it's a pretty special project. It's grabbed our heart. It's our favorite thing to do now. We're still, like I said, Sierra Vista Lions Club is still alive and well in Sierra Vista, and we're still doing glasses and vision screening and helping out at the schools and doing all the things we used to do. But this project fills our heart. And the cool thing for those of you who are going to come see me Saturday morning between the hours of 9 and 12, you're going to make new friends. This is amazing. Like I said, 6 to 83. You make new friends. We had people walk in, 2 people walk in separately. Neither of them, one was sitting alone because I hadn't matched her up with anybody yet because all the tables were full. And I said, next person to walk through the door is your new best friend. Well, the beauty of it is, for those of you who are looking for something fun to do and a way to meet people, those 2 ladies walked out having exchanged phone numbers, and they were meeting for lunch the next week, and they've been at every event since.
That's cool.
So it's also a way to meet people. If you're not into the bar scene and you don't know what else to do, come out. You're going to meet some great people of all ages for a great cause and make some put some smiles on kids' faces. And I can't think of anything better than that on a Saturday morning.
Now, you've got a lot of people excited just with your passion behind your voice about this event. So how can people get involved?
So here you go. You can also, like I said, the event's Saturday, and that's at the Salvation Army Center over on Wilcox. It's a great partnership. You know, they have the facility. I've got the people. And we will have, some light refreshments for you. You can come in. You'll sit down at a table. We'll give you a brief how-to. If you can't be there, and you'll start making blankets. You'll walk out of there with a smile on your face because you've provided a couple blankets. If you can't come for the whole time because there's a lot going on in Sierra Vista sometimes on a Saturday morning, anytime between 9 and 12. If you got 30 minutes, or if you just want to come and see what we're about so you can plan to calendar us next time, show up. If you're interested in the Lions Club in general and all the things that we do, we have a Facebook page, Sierra Vista Lions Club Foundation on Facebook. If you Google Lions Club, you'll go right to our link. It's an e-clubhouse link. You can't miss us. And you'll be able to see some of the blankets that we've made if you want to take a look today so you know what you're getting into. And if you're interested and just want more information and you don't want to mess with that social media or the internet, I'm Janet Morlock, 520-266-1101, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Well, let's talk about the Lions Club for just a second. There's even some kind of confusion that the Lions Club went away at some point, but remind us that the Lions Club is here and remind us one more time what you guys do.
Okay, so there were at one time, up till January, there were 2 Lions Clubs in Sierra Vista. La Salida del Sol, who served the community for about 60 years, and I'm with Sierra Vista Lions Club, and we've been serving the community almost 70 years. There was a Sierra Vista Lions Club before there was a Sierra Vista. We started in 1955. They must have known that it was going to be called Sierra Vista because they picked that name. But so, when the other club, and, like a lot of the civic groups, were getting older, the people who participate, and they did so many great things for the city. And we both had different projects, and some projects we shared, but they were no longer to maintain their charter. And so when they left the community, a lot of people were saying, wow, we're sorry your Lions Club folded. Had a school nurse come to us and say, they did the glasses for kids. What do we do for the kids that we can't get glasses for? They don't quite qualify for access, but they can't see the whiteboard. And we went, okay, we'll do it. I said I can, and it was Landmark Gens and I, and he takes care of the vision screenings at the schools. And, it's one of our projects is to vision screen all the kids. And he said, I didn't know. And so we knew the board would pass it, but we said we'll officially get the forms to you after the board passes it. So we're picking up that now. But one of the things we do is we help some of the local groups. We're real involved with some of the local charities, St. Vincent de Paul, Good Neighbor, those kind of things. They know that they can come to us if they have a client that's maybe the only thing between them and employment is the fact that they can't see to fill out the job application. And, we have a brief criteria that they have to meet, and we can get them in a pair of glasses so they can see. Lions Club also does some disaster relief. We do some really oddball services sometimes for people that are just in a rough spot. This year we picked foster kids for one of our Christmas projects. Nobody buys for teens. Everybody thinks about little kids, so we took care of the teens. On an international level, disaster relief that we help fund. And third, we do Alert, which is a regional eyeglass recycling. You see the box that says give your old glasses to Lions? We partner with Huachuca City Lions Club on that, and we get those cleaned, washed, sorted, read, and tagged. They can't be given away in this country because, there's some, rules and regulations about used medical products. But you can go to a third world country and someone who has never, ever seen the face of their grandchild in anything but a blur, or maybe never seen clearly their whole life, they get the best fit they can, and all of a sudden they've got a pair of glasses and they're getting to see how bright the world is, just like the rest, just like you and I. So those are kind of fun projects involved with some measles. We do projects with childhood cancer. We have a relay team that focuses on childhood cancer. Hunger is one of our initiatives, so we're involved with, helping supply some of the food banks, which are all pretty much one big happy family here in Sierra Vista, fortunately. And so there's just so many things like that we do, but we don't have enough hands. I'm going to be real honest with you, Garrett Grady. We're an aging club, too. I'm the youngest active member at the ripe old age of 68. So we had a 20-year-old for a while, but she decided to go work for a sheriff's department in of all places, Tennessee. So, she still do social media with us because we're kind of dumb at that at our age. But we do so much for the community. But one of the things that we do locally is we do help with glasses. We help with feeding with hunger. We especially enjoy going to the schools to do the vision screening because we have machines that'll catch things that an eye chart can't. So school nurses kind of love us for that. And it's a lot of fun. We did a reading program with the kids, and we did a little program on the flag with the kids, and those are our favorites. But we're pretty much out there, and if you give us a call, something I may not have listed doesn't mean I can't help with it. We've done some, post fires where people just really need stuff. We can sometimes dig a little deep, but if we had more hands, we could do more good. But if all you want to do is come out and make blankets with us, come out and make blankets. So we got some JROTC kids coming with us this time, I believe, and this is a great community. And I think, Scott's sitting over here next to me, and I know he'll attest to it, and I know you'll attest to it, and Carol will attest to it. We're a great community because we partner together and we do so much, and we just want to be part of that partnership. So if you're with another organization and you have something you think that we can do together, again, give me a call, because look us up on Facebook, look us up on the internet, and we would love to see us all do better by working together.
Well, Janet, we thank you for everything you do in our community with the Lions Club, and we thank you for coming and talking to us today as well.
And I thank you for letting me have the time.
You bet.
Appreciate all you do.
You bet. And also in the studio, as she mentioned before, we've got Scott Borgstadt from the Sierra Vista Police Department. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you've got an event coming up that's always a fan favorite.
Oh, yeah. We've got tomorrow over at Dunkin' Donuts inside Walmart, we've got Coffee with a Cop. Event starts at 8 o'clock and goes to about 10 o'clock. We're going to have police officers over there, so if you got any questions or concerns and you just want to, have a cup of coffee and a donut, come on over. Chief Heiser will be there as well, so we'll answer questions and provide information if, whatever you want.
I love that it's at Dunkin' Donuts. That's just perfect.
Well, yeah, that was kind of on purpose. We're trying to spread these Coffee with a Cop out, to different location, and Walmart and Dunkin' Donuts really helped us out with Christmas with a Cop, which was a huge success. So we wanted to, pay it back a little bit and have the event over there.
And why are these events so important to you at the Sierra Vista Police Department?
It's important, to reach out to the community. Sometimes you don't hear people's concerns or their questions, that they may have. So this gives, folks an opportunity in a casual setting, to sit around and share some coffee and ask questions and find out, why we do things certain way or why we don't do things certain way. Just a great way to meet the community and get out there and talk about different things.
All right, so invite everybody out to Coffee with a Cop one more time.
All right, it'll be tomorrow on Saturday over at Dunkin' Donuts inside Walmart from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
All right, and it's First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. Keep up to date. Follow the Cochise County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. And tune in next Friday, 7 a.m. for First Watch right here on KWCD.